Ladies and gentlemen, this is Mickey Clayton, the coach, and I'm here again with another exciting episode of the Claflin Athletic Show. And with us today, we have a young lady who really coordinates and keeps everything together for us when we schedule appointments, who we need to talk to. She identifies all these outstanding personalities that come on board for Claflin. And I just told her, I said, you have done an excellent job in identifying these professors and administrators at Claflin that really are about the students. So without further ado, here's the legendary athletic administrator from all over the country, now at Claflin, Miss Dionne McCollum. Welcome to the show, Dionne.
Hey, Mickey, how you doing?
I'm great now that I have you on, and man, you're killing me. That inside shirt, boy, that thing is all of that.
I mean, I have people in high places, you know.
They must care a lot about you and respect your ability.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Mickey. Thank you for the shirt, sir.
You are absolutely welcome. And turn around so you can see the back of it there. What's it say in the back?
You know, the Claflin Athletic Show.
Oh, there we go. There we go. The Claflin Athletic Show. I tell people, I said, you thought I was just talking, y'all, when I said somebody who's a highly thought of administrator. I'm in the gym here in Tallahassee. There's a guy who played for my daughter in AAU. She had him like 7th, 8th grade. He's in the gym. He comes over and starts talking to me. And he mentions Miss Dionne. And I'm like, Dionne who? And he started talking about the junior college he was at and everything. I took a picture, sent it to Dionne, and I said, do you know who this is? And what'd you say?
That's Jermaine.
He speaks so highly of you and at the junior college he was at. And I was just sitting there amazed with the number of contacts and people that we meet relative to Claflin and the effect that a lot of you have had on students.
Oh, thanks, Mickey. He was my project who came in late from Tallahassee with another young man, and you saw the potential in him. He was rough around the edges. He made you work, but when you know a good kid, you work with a good kid. And Jermaine is a good kid. He was raw talent, rough background, and we just never gave up on him. And that's just the whole thing. I say impact, impact, impact. And he was one that I was trying to make an impact on. And when you sent me that picture and told me that, you always remember that it may be hard sometimes. That's why you do what you do, is the impact I left on him. And he was able to tell you in Florida, while I'm in South Carolina now, you know, the impact I had on him in Michigan.
He absolutely did. And he is a young man that's matured now. And my daughter, Coach Milan, always says that's why she said, Dad, I was like you. I just tried to help. And when I see those young men that she had that were rough like that, mannerable now, when they see you, they may be doing crazy stuff, but when they see you, they straighten up. Hey, Coach, how you doing? Mm-hmm. And he asks I see him once or twice a week now. He said, how Miss Dionne doing? How Miss Dionne doing? And I said, she's doing well at Claflin. Mm-hmm. And what really hit me, he said Allen was recruiting him. And I said, wow. I said, okay. I said, but you getting your classes straight?
That's the question.
He said, Coach, I'm working on it. I said, okay, I need you to keep working on it.
Yeah, he was one of the ones that made it hard to leave. You know, I left Delta and came straight here, but I left in December. So it would have been his sophomore season. So he was one of the ones that made it very, very hard, along with, you know, the soccer girls, women's basketball teams, the softball teams. They had new coaches coming in. So being able to have this opportunity also came with a little heartache because I was leaving my babies of 5 years. And, you know, a lot of them now in their sophomore season, I was afraid that the impact would fade. I was afraid that somebody wouldn't see them through to that finish line. But I also had to remember myself when it comes to my journey and my growth in this field. And I just pray that the babies understood why I had to make that jump.
I understand completely. And we talk all the time. That's why you're in this profession, to try to help. Mm-hmm. And being in a position at HBCU, you're giving back, you're helping your own, you're identifying students that you see and you understand the challenges they've had. And
Mm-hmm.
you have a little bit more at stake when we're trying to help our own, because
Mm-hmm.
those are our future leaders.
Absolutely.
We want them to do well,
Absolutely.
you know. So, with that being said, as you move forward towards the end of a school year, when you stop and look back at some of the things that you have done in Claflin Athletics, the university, just kind of highlight some of the things that kind of stand out in your mind that y'all have accomplished this year.
The school year goes by so fast. You sometimes you don't want to miss anything because we're so busy and we're so swamped and we're trying to make sure we're there for everyone. But being that I came in December last year, I got to see a full volleyball season this year, and that atmosphere and the support behind those young ladies and the growth of that program has been amazing. Being here for my second basketball season, but being closer to the teams now at this point because they had already started when I came in last December, and watching both teams make it to um, make it to that Final Four, the CIAA tournament, it's like we're right there. And I'm loving watching the coaches grow and building these programs and creating their culture. Even with everything going on, the NCAA and NILs and transfers, they're building a program that they should be proud of, and making it that far to the Final Four. So next year we'll be in those championship games, so hopefully bringing home rings. Watching track when they're back-to-back indoor championship and prepare for this outdoor season. I'm watching the softball girls adjust to a new coach and find their groove this year. Like, it has been an amazing transition. As athletes graduate, we had a number of athletes graduate in December. Janelle Sample from women's basketball graduated early. She graduated high school early. Now she's graduated college in 3 years, and she still gets to come back and get her master's degree while still playing. These are things that have just been amazing to see, their drive, their determination, and them overcoming life. Everybody still has their own traumas and stressors and anxiety about real life outside of school and their sports. And we're watching them grow into adults and grow into leaders and grow into their selves and find themselves and realize these things. So outside of academics and sports, we're watching them become the future. And I think that's the biggest reward. Not only are they winning and we're able to say, oh, we're getting new rings because mama like rings, but we're able to get new rings. You're also, again, it's the bigger picture. What impact are we having? I'm watching Miss Lee talk to these kids, work with these kids with the SAT program, and watching Matt now be in grad school, and being a coach, of the track team as a student coach, and watching that as an athlete who won an indoor championship last year, now being a coach on the other side and getting an indoor championship. He was able to say he saw two different sides. And now he's able to see the behind the scenes work that really goes into pulling these things off, from transportation to hotels to meals. It's a lot that goes into it, but you want to make sure the athletes don't see how hard it is to put this stuff on, but they just see the reward in the end and just know that we bust our butts to get them there.
And that's the journey that's what makes the journey so exciting, is to be able to see that reward factor with some of them and being able to see them do well. Not all of them are success stories, but you put forth the effort in them. I always say, if you could help one, then, if you change one student's income tax bracket, that affects him and the family and generations.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
After you said you came in, what was easier for you this year than opposed to the first year? What did that year experience do for you?
If I'm being honest, I think when I left the director role to become an associate director, and I was an office of one and a half at times, and doing everything, having to make every decision. Then the hardest part was kind of letting go. Like, I took this position so that I can come here and learn and grow as an individual. But when you come from just that stressful environment, I think here I struggled with not being in every meeting, not knowing every call, and wondering if I'm doing enough. I think I asked T.O. the other day, is there something more that I should be doing, in my role to help fulfill my part in helping this department grow and fulfilling the vision he set for this department. So I think for me, it was just the change of, I took this role to breathe, but I didn't know how to just breathe when I got here. And Miss Lee and T.O., we talk often about, our mental health and the hours we put in and make sure we make time for our children and our families. And they have helped me adjust to that in this year. I've never had a birthday off until I got to Claflin. And they make it a point to say, no matter what's going on, take that day. While Miss Lee won't do the same for herself, she's pushing me to take that day, I think. And that has been the biggest adjustment personally, in making this change. But with the support I've had here and the administration around me, I trust it. I trust our team. I trust what we're doing. I trust everybody's work ethic behind the scenes to know nothing's going to fail and I can breathe, because now T.O. is the head man in his seat. Like, I've stolen his seat today. T.O. is the head man in the seat, and it's our job to make sure his vision fulfilled. And that's what we're doing. And I hope that what I've learned and how I've adjusted this year is making him proud in what I'm doing here in this department, and towards his vision.
Well, on that end, you've made it easier for Insights and the Claflin Athletic Show to be able to schedule our people for our weekly show, and you being that contact person for us, and it made it easier for us in the second season. And we appreciate you.
Thank you. It's so many amazing people on this campus. As in this year, I've gotten to know and work with others across campus, and the vision coming to life to where administration is seeing what athletics is doing and wants to be more involved, from Dr. Lyles and Doctor, everything they're doing on campus, I think it needs to be recognized, and they support us. So why not put them out here? Why not let the world see what Claflin is doing and what we're building here on all aspects, and not only athletics and intramurals in our club sports and data science coming into athletics. Like, we are trying to do cutting edge things at the Division II level, HBC level, that others aren't doing. And we couldn't make that possible without them.
Well, y'all have been doing a real good job. And I know that on the show, we have highlighted a lot of those people and things that they've done. And I know that it's helping grow the brand of Claflin University, because knowledge and information keeps getting out there. And we get all kind of comments relative to that. We didn't know that Claflin was doing that. Wow, Claflin did that. Claflin built that. Claflin just did that. I just think all of that is outstanding, and we appreciate having an opportunity to tell the Claflin University story, because that story continues to grow.
Absolutely.
And it's just something really special about it. Absolutely. And as you talk about some of those achievements, look back a little bit and talk a little bit about some of the students that you have really become attached to, because that's the part that really sells the job. And what you do is getting to know those students and seeing them grow and watching their success. And then, the ones that take a little bit extra love to reach out to, that you have to keep your hand on to make sure that they finish out. And their story still isn't told, but how is that affecting you? How do you feel from that?
That can go back. I got babies for days now, that I can go back to. I was talking about one of my junior college athletes that crossed Sigma Gamma Rho on Sunday, and connecting her and my older cousin in Cleveland together for that connection for their sorority. But since I've been here and taking over, I think, sports administration for women's basketball and baseball, I'm traveling with those sports more. But getting to know the cheerleaders has been awesome. I think I ended up on a cruise with one in December, and she saw me, and it was so exciting. But each baby you try to connect to, you don't want to ever have favorites, because, oh Lord, that becomes personal. But when I look up on an everyday basis, I may have a men's basketball player, a women's basketball player, volleyball, track, all in the office at once, and then when they walk out, here comes a baseball player. When they walk out, a cheerleader may stop by and say hi, or it may just be a student activity boards member. I want everybody to know that I don't have favorites. I love everyone across the board the same, and I'm going to treat them the same. But you got to get some that needs special love. You got to have that real conversation with, like, coming here. There's a young lady from my junior college that came down here also. So seeing that I had her for 3 years in Michigan, our bond is different, but I'm going to talk to you how I talk to everybody else. There's still expectations, and you still have a coach. While I am here, I can't protect you if you don't do right. And I don't ever mind being that voice where I'm gonna keep it 100 with you. Like, if you don't perform, your scholarship can be gone, and you can't be upset with that coach if you didn't do your part. And everybody's gonna get that same spiel, but I'm gonna love on you too. We are here to protect you. Your parents sent you here so that you can be safe, and that's our goal, is to make sure they're safe and they're growing in that environment. So all of them are babies. I see them walking through the hallway. Sometimes, in spring sports, you learn their names a little later because you're right there with volleyball and cross country up front. But we're traveling with the teams. We're in the hotels with them. We're eating with them. So you can't help but build bonds and connections with all of them. Like you said, there are a couple you get a little bit closer with because they may need extra attention. They may come in for mental health advice. They may come in just to say, hey, hope your weekend was good. Hey, how are the kids? So it's just a blessing to be in the seat, and be able to make these connections and feed into them.
Okay. Now, you said something earlier about being a sports administrator for
Mhm.
certain teams. Tell us exactly what does that mean, because the average person might not know what that means.
It's just within your senior administration, you all may have to take special focus with a team. So during basketball season, while I'll take women's basketball, Miss Lee will take men's basketball, and we may give a little other special attention when it comes to the coaches, when it's cutting up meals on the road, making sure like we're in the stands during the men's game, that we have administration present around our girls, and we actually travel with them. Miss Lee, I think, did volleyball this year while I did cross country, and right now she's doing softball while I'm doing baseball. So, as the senior women in administration here, we both have the responsibility of oversight of teams, as well as you work with every single team, but you may have special attention to those teams so that we're not burning ourselves out trying to do everything for everybody, and we can split those roles together.
Okay. Let me get a little bit more in depth. Do you have a female administrator with each of your female teams, especially if they have male coaches? Is that something that you kind of identified to make sure that somebody travels with them?
I think we've already had that.
Okay.
We have that. I know it's only two of us, so at times we can't always be there as administrators, and we may send our academic advisor, King Bonaparte. But for most times, like say women's basketball, there are only women's, no, track as well. Miss Lee would travel with track. I'll travel with cross country because Miss Lee, being our SWA, she has responsibilities at certain CIAA championships. So one of those sports is indoor, outdoor track. So she's already on site when our teams arrive. Um, but we try to make sure it's always a woman with them. We try not to force that as well, because we know if we try to be everywhere every minute of the day, we'll burn ourselves out. So when track is traveling, whether it's a female athletic trainer or myself or Miss Lee, as well as when women's basketball is traveling, again, that's my responsibility if I'm on that game coverage, or Miss Lee with the men's team, but being present as well.
Okay. Having been a former women's basketball coach, we always made sure we had a young woman that traveled with us, either administratively or on the staff at some point, just because in this day and age, it's always better to be safe than sorry.
Absolutely. And you got to cover yourself, protect yourself. They do have female managers that travel with them as well, that are part of, extension of the coaching staff, and have a close ear with the ladies as well.
Okay. As you look forward to and knowing how well prepared your staff is, I know that as the season is, school year is coming to an end, you've already started preparation for the upcoming year.
Oh, absolutely. If you wait until August, you're behind the eight ball. We are preparing folders and gathering paperwork on all of our incoming athletes, whether freshmen or transfers. I'm meeting with our coaches every 2 weeks to just make sure we don't drop the ball anywhere. We're staying on the same page, recruiting updates, anything I can assist with, breaking down transcripts, making sure we're checking NLIs they signed before, going through every compliance system we have here at Claflin, just making sure that we're not missing anything as we bring in these new athletes with no hiccups. communicating with the registrar, with admissions, financial aid, all of that goes into play preparing for next year and collecting paperwork, sickle cell forms, physicals, things of that nature as we prepare for this upcoming fall. So there's not really a down period because as these seasons end, we're already doing a turnaround, getting ready for August.
Well, seeing that we haven't touched on it, but it's a significant part of your job is the NCAA compliance.
Yes, sir.
And during this time of the year with incoming students and making sure the returning students are meeting compliance. And, I know that Tony O'Neill, that's kind of what he cut his teeth on, that NCAA compliance. So you got to make sure you're on top of it, because I'm sure he challenges you on it if he thinks that you might have not dotted an I or crossed the T. That's just how he is, but that's how he cut his teeth. And we met at NCAA compliance seminars. But explain to your viewers how significant it is, because it changes and can change in the middle of a school year, just in terms of what you can and can't do and what you have to stay on top of in terms of representing the university.
So yes, having a boss with the background in compliance needs to make sure that I am on my P's and Q's at all times. Luckily, I have OCD, so I am double checking, triple checking, and then going to Ms. Lee and asking for one more extra I before we submit anything. And that's okay, because that makes me stay on top of what I'm supposed to be doing, again, to make sure he doesn't have to worry. He isn't having to double check, and he'll always say, you're doing a great job, and you're doing a great job. And he'll question, well, how did I get that result? When I explain it all to him, it's a good job because you follow all the steps and you did what you're supposed to do in your due diligence. So that makes it easier. But again, the OCD part, making sure if the NCAA walked into Claflin University, we have nothing to worry about because we have dotted every I, crossed every T, double checked, communicated with every person that you could have looked at something and say, I'm not too sure, but let's maybe call the NCAA and get an interpretation on this rule, or run this past them and see if we're getting the same ideas before we say yes to a student or sign a student that could potentially be ineligible. So coming in, I've learned a lot under him, but I've learned very quick what I need to figure out on my own, and I'm only presenting to him. So he shouldn't have to do my job for me or double check my work. He should have to be able to say, as a compliance person, you figure it out and then bring me the result. And that's kind of how it's been. And I've been able to bring to him correct information. But I'll run past Ms. Lee sometimes if I'm just not certain, to say, okay, listen, what are your thoughts on this? Let's brainstorm. And that's the good thing, is while she's not compliant, we can bounce ideas off of each other and make sure we're both protecting the integrity of Claflin University, Dr. Warmack, and Tony O'Neill.
Okay. That's an excellent perspective. And the way that you handle it is really, really good.
Thank you.
Tell me, with your staff, with your coaches, how difficult is it to keep them abreast of changing rules? Having been a former compliance coordinator, and the first one at Florida A&M University, it's almost like sometimes they look at you as if you're the one who changed the rules. But I'm like, no, we're just trying to get you to understand that this is what the current rule is. Yeah. And you have to kind of make sure you spend some time getting them to understand that, especially with us, because we had football. So football really didn't think that rules applied to them.
Right. No. No, I think we have a good system here. I've started meeting with all of our coaches individually every 2 weeks, just making sure we have compliance check-ins, and we do monthly team meetings as a staff to go over these things. As it's coming down the pipe, I try to give them a heads up. Hey, this may happen. Come April, we may be looking at new transfer rules. We may be looking at new NIL rules, all of this. So I try to give them a fair warning of what could be going on. I also was able to join 3 NAC committees this year, which is the National Athletic Compliance Association. So I was able to now sit on those. So I kind of have a heads up when things coming down the pipe, get background information on what's going on in compliance. I'm sitting in these seats. And then I bring that back to my AD, Miss Lee, and my coaches and say, hey, look, prepare for this. This could happen. This is a discussion behind the scenes. Hey, boss, maybe take this to the other ADs of the conference so they can have a heads up. So that's also giving us one step above the rest when it comes to compliance, because sitting on these committees, I get that information. I get that that first step and get us a chance to get ahead of the ball and prepare accurately for what's about to come down the pipe when it comes to NCAA and compliance.
Okay, and under that umbrella is also NIL. And how does that affect Claflin at your level?
It hasn't much as of yet. We're looking into a new compliance software where we hope to now start implementing it within these upcoming years. Division two is getting there. We're not as advanced as Division one with resources and finances like that, but we'll be changing to a new compliance software that will incorporate NILs and provide more opportunities for our athletes at the Division two level. And hopefully, if it goes as planned with this foundation of this platform, we'll be able to put our kids out there more. And I'm hoping it will give us a positive impact on our athletes and recruiting and how it can affect this university overall.
Okay, and in closing, how does the transfer portal affect you? I can see where there's some situations where you could get some pretty decent athletes that are looking for an opportunity to play. But how does that affect you in terms of you making sure that they're meeting NCAA compliance and the transfer portal changes and all of that, and kids being able to go on that portal and change institutions pretty much at a whim? Explain a little bit about that process and what it has, what effect it's had on Claflin.
The transfer portal hasn't beat us down, has it, as it may other institutions. We have lost some kids, but like I said, our programs have great coaches in place, and even as the NIL gets bigger, I think the kids we have here right now, they're staying. So we haven't lost many. I think I may have put 10 athletes over my year into the portal, and some of them were athletes that had already graduated, athletes that were here previously. So I understand the ones who graduate and go somewhere because they may have a year left and to begin their grad school program. Another school has their master's program. I understand that. But again, the undergrad, we haven't lost many. We've lost a couple. But bringing in compliance-wise is the portal is all over the place, and kids get stuck in there, and these kids aren't being given the right information when they enter the portal. So that's when I may become the bad guy, because it's okay, you have a sit a year for residency, or you have so many transcripts. I can't allow you to be clear you to be an athlete, and so I have every single transcript of the school you've been to, or I've received transfer waivers from every single school you've been to, and that can be a holdup and frustrating for kids. But that's how I know I'm protecting the coach, the program, the athletic department, and our university, is by being due diligent and making these kids wait until all information has been received, all information has been evaluated. Again, so it's the integrity of the program. So the transfer portal can be difficult when you have so many transfers, or a kid that has been to so many schools. Those multiple schools make a longer process of getting them clear athletically and for eligibility reasons as well. So the portal is all over the place, but right now coaches want a more experienced player, which is harder for high school students because the age gap right now between an 18 or a 23, 24-year-old. But if that's what's going to make our program successful, I'm going to do everything I can to make sure we evaluate everything properly so that our kids can have an opportunity to win that championship and continue to build those programs.
Well, as the academic gatekeeper of NCAA rules and legislation, sometimes that's a heavy crown to bear, because people take your decision as a personal one, but your job is to protect the integrity of the institution.
Yes, sir. And I try to explain that in very, very much detail. I want to break everything down. We're not hiding anything, sugarcoating anything. You're going to get the real, honest, truth answer from me.
Absolutely. Absolutely. As always, we appreciate having an opportunity to talk to you. As you can tell, ladies and gentlemen, listening to her, she's a wealth of knowledge and experience and wears a lot of hats at Claflin within that athletic department, and wears them well.
Thank you.
We appreciate you being on this show, repping insights, and we appreciate that.
Thank you so much for having me, Mickey.
As always, and we know that we have some other things coming up into the summer. You'll have the Paws Up golf tournament.
Paws Up golf outing, yes.
How's that going? You've been working on that already, I'm sure.
Yes, we are solidifying dates. A couple, golf courses around here. We're looking at expanding. It's going to be bigger than what it has been because going into year 3, I believe now. It's going to be big, and we're excited about it. So a lot of hard work behind the scenes right now.
We know that in any successful venture, it takes a lot of work and planning. And we have people that have asked me about when it is and that have been in different parts of the country
Awesome.
that want to come to the golf tournament in South Carolina. I'm just
awesome. I will get you all that information ASAP.
We appreciate it. And continued success, Miss Dionne McCullum.
Thank you so much.
To Claflin Athletics. Thank you.
Thank you.